What's up guys? Today I wanted to make a video real quick just to kind of give some basic tips over, some things in the game that a lot of people might not be aware of, or a lot of people just fail to recognize, but they do it subconsciously anyways. And I think knowing about a lot of these things can definitely help you recognize what you're doing wrong in your gameplay and help you improve. So first thing I want to talk about is crosshair placement. So if this is a building that I'm walking into right here, say it's like a building in Tilted, you'll notice it's kind of like almost like a corridor here. If I'm walking into it and there's someone, I know for a fact there's someone over here. If I'm walking into this building and my crosshair's down here, I'm going to have to look up, and that's going to cause me to do no headshot damage and do all body shots and probably miss a majority of my shots because I'm aiming at their legs. Versus if I walk through this corridor with my crosshair like this, move it directly horizontally, not moving it vertical while I turn, you can keep your crosshair at head height and do headshot damage. This is super important for third person and first person shooter games, but especially third person, especially because you can make use of this right hand peek, which if you didn't know is kind of just where you probably do it anyways, but you just hug a wall here and you look around, you can see pretty much everything. You can also do it with your left, but it's significantly harder. As you see, I have to kind of look around this way and I'm turned around a little bit, so it's definitely more awkward. That's why you want to try and put yourself in situations where you have the right hand peek. So basically just keep your crosshair at head height and utilizing the right hand peek can help you get win a lot more like close corridor situations. Moving on over here, I want to go check this out. Some basic tips for things like building fast and getting high ground easier are things like 90s. If you're not aware of what those are, it's basically, there's two types of ways to get high ground super quickly. There's 90s where you go like this. Oh, I just messed it up. Where you go like this and you can place a floor in between, or you can just do straight stair and wall, whatever you want to do. Some are faster than the other, but whatever works for you and whatever you find the easiest will work. But basically the idea of it is to get high ground fast, and that's super important in this meta right now. It used to just be getting high ground was making the most layers in a ramp rush, and you just kind of left it as that. But the meta is slowly changing, and it's more along the lines right now of just trying to get high ground without shooting people down. So learning how to do your 90s fast and efficiently can help you get high ground better in those kind of late game 1v1 fights. There's differences between like 180s, which are where you go like this, which isn't still a full 1x1. A full 1x1 is where you turn, make that extra turn. But those really aren't as efficient anymore unless you're basing up, which you would never use wood. You should probably use like material like metal or something else, and that's where you'd base up. Typically you only want to do that like in game if you're just playing defensive and trying to get the win. I wouldn't recommend doing that for like getting high ground because it takes a while to build, and you just don't want to use that precious time of like the extra 2 seconds to try and turn around when you could be getting high ground using 90s. Some other things to go over are ramp rushes. I'm on console, so PC players might be able to do ramp rushes a lot better than I can, but basically there's different kinds of ramp rushes. There's 2-layer ramp rush, which is like this. This is the most common format of doing it. But the problem with this is you're essentially protected by, you just shoot this out and then you shoot the stair out, which isn't terribly bad, but it's also pretty inefficient. So the better method that you should use is, if you want to do 2 layers, you're saving mats, but you don't want to do like that because it is inefficient. Use this one where you have a floor below you and then you connect. Show you that from the bottom. You have a ramp below you, and this requires you to kind of angle your crosshair So that way you can get this floor down right here as you're coming up. It places there and then it places there. And that's pretty much instant, and it only requires you to hold down the left trigger. Now, say you're going up and you want to take a shot, you place this down and then you start shooting. That actually offers you another layer, because instinctively what people are going to do sorry about that. Instinctively what people are going to do is they're going to try and shoot the layer that is closest to you or closest to your head. You know, if you're peeking down and they still have ammo left in their clip, they're going to be shooting this one right here. And if there wasn't this wall here, they'd be shooting that stair, which would knock you down to the stair and then you get shot at super easily. So make sure you get that floor or that wall there at the end. That way you don't get shot out. And another reason to put that wall there is if I'm rushing like this. Sorry. Sorry, this is just like not flat ground, so it's not easy to do it on. If I'm rushing like this, this is four layers up, or 4 floors up, I guess. So at this point you would take fall damage normally, but if you are being shot out and they shoot out the very bottom one, ignore that wall there. If they shoot out this very bottom one, right there, and then they shoot out your other one right here, 2 layers, and you'll fall down onto this one, and then you'll fall down to that one, so you won't take fall damage, which is a big win. You won't even take like that extra 19 or whatever. It'll basically negate a layer of fall damage. That is probably the most efficient way to ramp rush. It could be hard getting out of the habit of just doing this. I still do it from time to time, and it's just really hard to get out of it. It should be noted, if you're going to rush like that, you have to initially place this ramp down, or this wall down, and then you can go, because that second layer won't place unless you have something to connect it to. But you can also do something like this. A good 3-layer ramp rush going off of this would just to be kind of expanding on this, just to be to place a wall in between. I'm just having a very difficult time right now. So there's 2 layers going down, and I'm placing a wall in between. And this is probably more efficient. Well, it uses more mats, but I'll show you why this is more efficient than doing the kind of standard way of floor ramp wall. So you see how it just goes up like that. And the same principle actually applies, where if they shot out your 2 bottom ones, then you'd still not take fall damage if you were 4 up. Now the standard way of doing this, or it used to be, where you go stair, floor, wall. And I also still do this from time to time. I'm trying to get better at not doing it, but you know, habits and stuff like that. But this one uses the same amount of mats, but it is actually less efficient, because you're going to be, it's easier to shoot someone out at this angle, because they just have to shoot out this and then that to shoot you down, versus on this, so that floor is basically obsolete, versus on this, they have to shoot out your stair and then that to shoot you out. So, you know, it's a waste of mats to do it this way, whereas you could be doing it this way and making more use of the mats that you use. Some other things I want to cover, more for just Fortnite in general, staying calm in game. If you get into like a high pressure situation, especially towards end game, and a lot of times this happens in solos, people just start to collapse. Because it's a lot of pressure towards the end on solos, you know, you're alone and it's all up to you. It is just a lot of pressure to handle. And, you know, that the feeling of like your heart's beating super fast and stuff, that doesn't really go away, but you can manage it. So just like staying calm, treating the last guy like it's your first kill of the game is definitely something that works. And not getting super stressed out about, hey, like if I lose this, what a waste of 20 minutes, right? Just play it like you normally would and you'd be fine. Essentially just not freaking out and kind of staying calm. And in addition to that, just like not getting mad when you die. Especially because it's better to get mad, or it's worse if you get mad over like your own mistake. If I like mess up my 90 here or whatever and I turtle myself or I fall off of it and I die or something like that, like I don't get mad at the game for that. I get mad at myself. You can't blame RNG for things like dying to fall damage because you fell off, right? If you lagged off, that's one thing, but like if I keep messing up this thing consistently and I'm doing it wrong and I turtle myself, then I know I have to work on that, and I shouldn't just blame RNG. If I get a gray burst off of spawn and my opponent gets a gray tac shotgun, I should analyze, why did I lose that fight? Was it because of RNG? No, it was because I tried to rush him with a gray burst when he had a gray tac shotgun. Yeah, he has a pretty crappy weapon too, but a shotgun's gonna beat a gray burst close range. What I should have done is I should have kept him far away from me and played the long battle. That would have allowed me to win instead of playing up close to him. A good thing to do is to just kind of go back into your go back into your replays and just like see what you did wrong. Try and analyze, what could I have done in this situation where I wouldn't have died. So just looking at things, especially early game deaths, if you chalk things up to RNG all the time, it's super unhealthy. If you're like trying to do competitive, if you're trying to play competitively, because you can't, if you chalk everything up to RNG, then it's not going to be a very healthy experience for you, especially if you're trying to get better. You don't get better by just blaming it on the game or how bad the game is, because 99% of the time it's not the game's fault, it's your fault. You did something wrong and you have to like accept that, and you have to improve on that. And it's not because of RNG. Some other things, if you wanted to know like tips on getting better and improving things, a lot of people will tell you, oh, the best way to get better is just to keep like play non-stop. But like if you grind and you try and just play all day or something like that, you're gonna kind of get tired, and you're gonna be very frustrated if you just, every time you lose, you hop right back into a game without even analyzing why you lost. And that can just lead to you, obviously you're not gonna like win much with that mentality either, but in addition to that, you're not gonna get better. Another thing I see a lot of people doing is they just, in order to get better, they drop tilted or they drop hot drops or whatever, where 20 people are at, and basically you really don't have a chance of making it out of there if you're just starting off. But some people, for whatever reason, think that's the best way to get better, when it really isn't. Like, there's so many other ways to get better. If you're on keyboard, then, and your aim just sucks. If you're on like PC and your aim sucks, then buy a aim trainer game, or there's free ones out there too, and play those. If your mechanical gameplay sucks, go into Playground. If your decision making sucks, well then definitely don't land somewhere super packed for early game. If you're a console player like me, I'll show you some tracking tips if I can get some bouncers out of here. But basically it comes down to knowing what you did wrong and then trying to improve on that. And let me just show you. So if you're on console, there's really no like aim improvement games for console. And that's just kind of how it is, unfortunately. So something I would recommend is there's playground practices and playground drills you can do to improve your aim. what I'm going to show you right now. So like what I like to do, just go here, place something down, here, place something down. And those stay floating, and then just go place something down right here. And then just get like a gun or something with a crosshair, hop onto these bouncers, just track these items. Just look at them and try and track them. This improves your tracking aim. Doesn't really improve your flick aim, although if you wanted to, you could just like flick. I mean, use your imagination, but this can be used a lot of different ways. Obviously, on console, your resources are limited for aim, so aim is kind of one of those things that will come with time. But if you want to improve it, or if you want to like warm up it too, that's definitely a way to do it. Some other things, basically more advanced things, doing things like if you're up really high and you just want to get down super quickly, falling down using this. That takes a lot of like, doesn't take skill to perfect. It takes like time to perfect it, especially if you're scared of dying to heights. It's going to be scary your first few times, but you kind of get used to it. Basically what you want to do is as you're walking to the edge, you want to flick to this edge and then fall down. So flick and fall, flick and fall, flick and fall. Just look at that edge and then fall down with it. You can fall down 2 and then place a stair, or you can fall down, or you can fall down 1, 2, 3 and then place a floor, and you won't take fall damage. So I do it with a stair. I don't really know why, I just do. I think because stair is more natural for me to place from a wall. Another thing is something they call the Tfue Classic, where you just go up, shoot, build, build. And that's just kind of good for if you're on high ground over someone, but you know they like to take like pot shots. If they get lucky with their bloom and stuff like that a lot, a way you can turn this kind of these 50-50 bloom fights into an 80-20 fight is by just going shot, build. And that's where like your tracking aim comes in handy. If you can track and aim really well, especially while building, that's going to be great for you. If you're not, again, just keep practicing doing aim drills, stuff like that. Some basic playground drills you can do just to kind of improve your editing and general building, and some general building skills you can also learn along the way. Things like editing drills. I'll show you some. So this is one that I do a lot. Just helps me warm up. So you start here, you go this way, edit the triangle, edit this into a stair, edit out of the floor, edit the triangle here into a stair, and then you go up. And yeah, be creative, do what you want. Messed up. Be creative, make up your own drills. You don't have to strictly do these, but you can go into 90s and stuff like that. If you mess up, then that's why you practice. And then you fall back down. That's that. Kind of hones in on your skills. It's especially good if you're like warming up for a game and stuff like that. I don't take fall damage, that's fine. Another skill that probably everyone should know, or at least kind of know how to do, is being able to jump off to the side and, oh, I just got pushed off. Being able to jump off to the side and place a floor and a cone, and this is a good way to counter being coned in the game. And if you don't know what that is, that's basically like if I'm ramping up and this is someone else's and you get coned, you can't move. You either have to break it, or you can just, in this method, if it's above you, you jump up, you go around, and it's going to take a while to perfect, but it's definitely worth it to try and perfect it. The reason people cone, basically, if we go over here, if I'm here, and I know someone else is going to be coming up right here. If I place these 2 cones down, and I'm this guy here, I can't place my ramps down. Now, I mean, obviously, you can just go like this, but that's going to take a little longer. Plus, if the person over here is good enough and they get their cone off, or they get their edit off in time, and they do that, then they can get up over you. And that's really useful just in playground fights. A lot of people use that, but it's also good for general build fights and being able to do that. And being able to do stuff where you go up, cone, edit, cone, edit. That's just good for, you know, if someone's shooting down on you, that gives you cover for a second, and then you can just keep doing it all the way up. Trying to think of some other things to cover. Basically just kind of improving on your 90s, but don't just focus on that. I know I touched a lot on just 90s and being able to be fast at building, but that's not all this game is about. You can build all you want, but if you can't aim, you don't make the right decisions. Knowing when to engage a fight and knowing when to not take a fight. It's a battle royale, so you know, use your intellect to know when to actually take a fight. Like, when is this fight going to be beneficial for me? If it's not going to be beneficial for you, or there's really not that much that you can gain from it, then don't take it, especially in scrims. Don't take the fight if you don't need to. But in addition to that, just kind of being aware and being more knowledgeable about what kind of players you're going to be going up against. If you know you're in if you're in scrims, you know you're going to be going up against good players, so you really don't want to take time fighting bot squads and stuff like that. You want to fight against scrim squads. 1, for the experience of fighting against competitive players, but 2, if you fight a bot squad, you're going to get third-partied. Basically, if you fight anyone, you're going to get third-partied, so if you just came up and fighting a bot squad, you really don't want to get third-partied, because that's just a stupid way to lose. But coming off of fighting a scrim squad, you're going to have a lot more mats versus, you know, when you go into a fight, you treat every fight like you're going to be fighting a scrim team. And ultimately, that's just not going to be the case. You know, some teams will be scrim teams, but the majority won't, because you get 40 teams per lobby, or something like that on average. Then, or 40 players per lobby, and then majority on average won't be scrim players. So wasting mats in a fight like that, being able to recognize who's a good player and who's not, especially when you have limited mats, limited ammo, resources, you don't want to waste stuff like that. Waste mats and stuff like that. That's pretty much it for this building guide, tips, whatever. If you have any questions, let me know. If you want to know more, or if you are interested in learning more, or want to see more of these in the future, just let me know. Because there's definitely going to be more meta changes as this game evolves, and much like any game that evolves, the meta's just going to change. They add in new stuff every week, so it's just going to keep changing. But basically, if you too long didn't watch, if you're at the end, kind of being able to practice your 90s. You need to be able to do 90s and 180s fast, but that's not the main thing you need to focus on. Getting high ground methods, you know, placing cones, jumping to the side of cones if you do get coned. Crosshair placement, right side peaks, and over those. I have a right side peak here, headshot, boom. Aim drills, the bouncer, you know, tracking stuff, the bouncer. Place an item down there, track it, focus on something, track it with that. That's about it. Again, if you like this, let me know. If you don't like it, you can also let me know. I don't really care. But yeah, that's about it. Sorry if this was really awkward. I don't really usually do these kind of guide videos, but I think it was important to make one, especially if you're just starting out. If you don't really like these guide videos, I got a solo gameplay coming soon. Maybe try and post them a lot more to YouTube and streaming more. So, yeah. I'm gonna be competing in the Mixer tournament, the Mixer Squads NA tournament, whatever you want to call it. We're gonna be competing in that on Friday, so good luck there. And thank you for watching.